This TFMR podcast is brought to you by your friends at JM Bullion. Visit jmbullion.com for all your gold and silver bullion needs. Hello again from TF Metals Report, and welcome back to your podcast highlights for the week of June 10th through the 14th of 2024. Again, a daily podcast summary, just part of what you receive as a subscriber at TF Metals Report. They're usually about 20 minutes long, so this is just a small fraction from each day's podcast. As the week began back on Monday the 10th, we knew it was going to be a busy week. All kinds of inflation data, the June FOMC, and silver in a pullback consolidation phase. Would it find support as the week went along? Well, we didn't know that on Monday, and that was certainly all part of the discussion as we looked at the daily chart and tried to project where silver might head from here. Silver on the daily chart, again, its own little double top. You could say it's flagging in an uptrend, just like it flagged from the middle of April to early May. Maybe. The support I'm looking to watch is right here at about 29. Okay, 29, maybe slightly above 29, where it bounced from earlier today down at 29.23. But what if we get down to that 50-day, which today is 28.89, tomorrow will be around 29, if not slightly higher. That's where I will at least consider venturing into the casino ahead of the FOMC. We'll see. Maybe right at the FOMC. We'll probably talk about that again tomorrow. And we did talk about it again tomorrow, that tomorrow being Tuesday the 11th. Recall that China, the Shanghai markets, were closed on Monday the 10th. And so the big drop back on the previous Friday the 7th came after China had closed for that day. So big drop on COMEX on Friday. Again, another COMEX drop on Monday. All of that taking place before China could open again on Monday night, Tuesday morning in Shanghai. Silver sold off again, but then it held about the same area that it held earlier in the day on Monday. Maybe that was a short-term low. Maybe silver was ready for a bounce. All part of what we discussed on Tuesday the 11th. So the last 4 days in silver prices, okay? Rallied on Thursday, right? Rallied Thursday night. Fortunately, yours truly dumped his call 11 o'clock Thursday night. You can see where that is, Central Time. Shanghai closes 2:45 Central, 3 o'clock Central. Here comes the news about China. And boom! 15 minutes later, bang, boom. Then here comes the BLSBS at 7:30. Boom! Wiped out into the PM fix at 9. Boom! Anyway, finally bottoming out late that day around 29.20. Rallying yesterday, getting to 29.98 at the reopen last night. And then Shanghai opened, boom, an hour later, boom. But where did we bottom out? And where did we hold as support all day today? About that same level. Okay, I think that's pretty encouraging. Okay, so you had the big washout. You had Shanghai trying to catch up. That forces even more selling. And now we've got this new equilibrium a little bit in this double bottom area. Wednesday the 12th brought the conclusion of the June FOMC meeting and Jerry Powell's press conference. Prices had rallied most of the day Wednesday, but then turned around and began to head lower as soon as the COMEX closed, traded lower all the way through the Fed information. And it just didn't look quite right on the chart. The GDX chart in particular had opened higher Wednesday, opened at resistance at its 50-day, and though it closed up 25 cents, it was 80 cents off its highs. That did not bode well for Thursday, and actually that's how things turned out. But on Wednesday, we didn't know that for sure. It was certainly part of our discussion in our daily podcast. And finally, the GDX. I don't like this chart either. Again, I think this is the channel, right? This breaking out above it last Thursday and falling right back into it. I think this is the channel. You can see today we opened right at the top of the channel, right at the 50-day moving average. Tried to move up, wrong. Now we're up on the day, but a whopping 25 cents and a full 80 cents off the highs, more than 2% off the highs. We're in this kind of liquidation phase. You can see it with the downward channel. I wouldn't be surprised if the GDX didn't come down to 32.50, 33 at some point. I don't know, the next few days, week and a half. Now, again, We get gold down, fiddling around at 2,300. We get silver down, tapping 28.50 intraday, trading near 29. We get the GDX down here to 33 or maybe just below. Then I'll be interested. For now, like I said, just not comfortable for a number of reasons with a trading position on the long side. The metals did sell off then on Thursday the 13th, and we had a little different discussion that day. A lot of banter on the site, but also on Twitter, X, about how gold has to do this or silver has to do that, as if there is something that always takes place in a pullback or in a rally. No, that's not true. Oh, sometimes, and you can use information and history as a guide. Sometimes it works out that way, but not always. So when I see things like, oh, gold has to pull back to its 200-day moving average, it's too far above its 200-day moving average. You hear things like that. That's not always the case. This chart for Thursday is of NVIDIA. Wasn't the case in NVIDIA back in April. May not be the case for gold today. We'll see about that. It was all part of our discussion on Thursday the 13th. I'm not picking anybody. I'm not singling out anybody by name. I've just seen this all over Twitter because I'm on there every day looking for news. Well, gold's got to pull back. It's got to pull back further. In a bull market, it's getting too far above its 200-day moving average. It's got to pull back. Okay, maybe it will. Fuck, I know. I'm just a dope out here in the middle of nowhere with a computer and a microphone. But I'll give you this example. Look at NVIDIA. Now look at this chart starting 1st of January. Okay, memorize this chart before we get to the gold chart. Or actually just scroll down and look at the gold chart. Interesting, isn't it? The scales aren't the same. The chart pattern is pretty freaking close. Gold took off 1st of March. NVIDIA took off for basically 1st of January. Soared for 2 months. Double topped in March. Sold down, flagged, broke below the 50-day. And by the middle of April, there were people saying, well, it was too far above the 200-day moving average. It needs to pull back. It needs to consolidate and pull back to the green line, the 200-day moving average, before it can go any higher. Well, hell's bells. Apparently not. Turned around, got back above the 50-day, held the 50-day support. Now again, this is adjusted for what they do. 10 for 1 split or whatever, but you get the idea. Yeah, I think it was 10 for 1. Got it back above the 50-day and then kablamo. Okay? So this crap about how it has to do this or has to do that is not true. If it had to do that and you got out or weren't going to buy any more or whatever in the middle of April because it had to go down, it had to go to 60, which at that point was 600, had to go down another 15-20%. No, it didn't. So now here we are with gold again. And on Friday, June the 14th, a very nice rally in both of the COMEX digital precious metals moves both of them back into the green on the week. We navigated through the inflation data, the FOMC, the breaking of the 50-day moving average, at least temporarily, in COMEX silver. And yet we're going to finish the week in the green. In fact, gold's up about 1% on the week. How about that? And as you look at the daily chart of July 24 COMEX silver, the front month, you know what? I wouldn't try to talk you out of feeling pretty good about it. Price has come all the way down to where it should have support at 29. What had been resistance becomes support. It came all the way down to its primary trend line that goes back to March the 1st. And it also came all the way down to its 50-day moving average, briefly breaking below on Thursday, getting down to about 28.70, running some stops for sure, but then closing back above, and now rallying today to finish comfortably above, and like I said, even up on the week. So now we'll go into next week. Next week's going to be an odd one. There's some data coming. There's also a midweek, one-day U.S. market holiday on Wednesday. How will that impact things? How will that impact the trade in China? Well, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting week. We invite you to join us at TF Metals Report, the best site. Of course, I'm biased, but the best site for precious metals information every single day. It's just $15 a month, gives you access to the best community on the internet, and it is money well spent. Check us out at tfmetalsreport.com, and I hope you have a great weekend.